The screen lights up with a name you know. You stare at it, and instead of reaching out, you feel an absolute paralyzing weight in your chest. You watch the notification fade into the dark, and your mind whispers the exact same thing it whispered yesterday. Not right now. People tell you you're distant. They assume you just don't care anymore. But here is the uncomfortable truth nobody is willing to admit. You are not broken, and you are not losing your empathy. What you are experiencing right now is your brain executing a ruthless biological defense protocol. It isn't laziness, it is cognitive bankruptcy. Your nervous system is deliberately shutting down all external communication because you are running on empty, carrying an insurmountable empathy debt. Today, we are stripping away the guilt. We are going to decode the silent neuroscience behind why the most reliable people suddenly go completely offline, and why your quiet withdrawal is actually the ultimate form of self-preservation. Pay very close attention to the second mechanism we cover, because it explains exactly why a single, harmless text message can drain you faster than an entire week of work. Think of your mind as a high-performance machine with a finite amount of social RAM. Every "hey, how are you?" and every "can we talk?" is a background process running in your mental task manager. Most people think replying is a simple 3-second action, but for you, it isn't. Every unread message is a microscopic leak in your cognitive battery. You aren't avoiding people because you've become cold. You're avoiding them because your system is thermal throttling. We live in an era of infinite accessibility, but your biology was never designed for this level of constant pinging. When you have 50 open loops, 50 people waiting for a piece of your attention, your brain enters a state of neural entropy. The weight of the unanswered becomes heavier than the act of answering itself. This is the invisible reality. The more you care about doing it right, the more paralyzed you become by the fear of doing it wrong. This is where you hit cognitive bankruptcy. You look at that notification and you don't see a friend, you see a debt you can't pay back. Your brain calculates the energy required to be on, to be likable, and to be present, and it simply reports insufficient funds. So you close the app, you put the phone face down, and you retreat into the only place that doesn't ask for a piece of you, the silence. Look, this isn't some quirky mood. It's a literal, measurable, biological collapse. Every single time that piece of glass in your pocket vibrates, your brain is forced into a brutal, high-speed cost-benefit analysis, one it never asked for. Welcome to cognitive load theory. Think of your working memory as a tiny one-lane bridge. Right now, that bridge is completely choked with the burning wreckage of 1,000 digital demands. It is structural failure. But here is the dirty secret about decision fatigue. We treat replying to a text like it's nothing, right? Well, not exactly. Deciding how to dodge a work invite or drafting that fake apology text to your mother, those aren't just small chores. They are massive, high-voltage neural computations. And when your tank hits absolute zero, your brain literally cuts the power grid to save itself. It stops looking for polite solutions and defaults to the cheapest survival mechanism available: silence. Dead, unyielding silence. The truth nobody tells you is that your brain is actively suffocating from the noise. In neurobiology, we track a metric called neural entropy. It's the scientific measurement for sheer, unpredictable chaos inside your skull. And your social life? It just hit maximum entropy. It's like trying to listen to a whisper inside a running jet engine. By not replying to people, you aren't being difficult or antisocial. You are pulling the emergency fire alarm. You are manually lowering the boiling temperature in your own head to stop a catastrophic system crash. You are aggressively taking back the raw kinetic energy that the world assumes it has a God-given right to harvest. Period. The biggest lie you've been spoon-fed is that being there for everyone is some kind of lifetime moral contract. Everyone else looks at your withdrawal and calls it ghosting. They call it selfish, weak. But here is where they get it completely wrong. They're staring at a forced system reboot and screaming that the machine is broken. The truth nobody wants to admit is highly surgical. You are drowning in an empathy debt, and you didn't even read the fine print when you signed for it. Think about it.
Every single time you nodded along to a toxic rant you didn't have the bandwidth to fix, every time you slapped on a fake smile for a conversation that felt like pulling teeth, you were taking out a high-interest payday loan on your own nervous system. Well, guess what? The collectors just kicked the door in, and your brain did the only logical, biological thing left to do. It filed for absolute emotional bankruptcy. This is the exact second your default mode network, your DMN, hijacks the steering wheel. Your DMN is your brain's biological panic room. It triggers the second you stop feeding your attention to the external circus. Look, when you're staring blankly at the ceiling instead of texting people back, your brain isn't doing nothing. That is a joke. It is running a violent, high-speed malware scan on your own identity. It is actively scrubbing out the toxic residual sludge of everyone else's expectations, just trying to find out what is actually left of you. Your silence isn't some petty wall you built to keep people out. It is a titanium door you locked from the inside because the house was already on fire. You aren't losing your friends, you are aggressively cutting dead weight. This withdrawal is the rawest form of self-preservation. It is the exact moment you look at the world and decide that your internal peace, it is no longer up for public auction. Not anymore.
Stop treating your silence like some massive moral failure. It isn't. It is literally the most honest thing you've done in years. You are finally hitting the biological kill switch your nervous system has been begging for. This is not the death of your social life, it is the birth of your social minimization era. Think of it like aggressively pruning a dying tree so the roots can actually survive. You are refusing to trade your sanity for a cheap head count. You are pouring the concrete for an inner citadel, a titanium fortress where you actually get to exist without being treated like a free emotional ATM for everyone else's drama. When you finally decide to walk back into the noise, you will do it on your terms, with armor on, not bleeding out from 1,000 tiny social cuts. But until that day, guard the gates. Tell me the truth. What is one ruthless thing you did this week to protect your peace against the guilt of ghosting? Drop the word peace in the comments right now and lay out your story. I read every single one. But here is where everyone completely messes up. When the fog eventually lifts, how do you actually walk back into the room without the crushing gravity of 50 unanswered texts dragging you straight to the floor? How do you return without choking on the guilt? It is a brutal trap. Almost everyone fails the landing, and it is exactly what we are tearing apart in the